Hi BookTube, I'm Debs. Welcome back to my channel, Raina Read Stuff. I am here in the book shack. It's not too cold this afternoon. Yeah, it's only about 4:30. I'm going to do a weekly wrap up that actually takes in a fortnight's worth of books because I didn't do a weekly wrap up last week. You know what it is like at this time of year. Life gets in the way. So I've been down to see my family, which was lovely. I had the responsibility for the first time of looking after my 7-month-old grandson, which was great fun, but exhausting. And then my car exploded on the way home. Not literally, the engine just died again. That's the second time this year. And I was stranded on the motorway for 13 hours. Well, it took me 13 hours to get recovered and get back home. So that was all fun. Anyway, let's talk books because that's all entirely irrelevant. Um, I've got 7 books for you this week. 3 fiction, 3 non-fiction, 1 children's. I'm running a bit behind on my Read What You Own challenge. This is day 42. I haven't actually felt tempted to buy any books, so that's great, because usually I'm a bit compulsive about buying books every week. I have read 36, and that includes these. So I'm a little bit behind, 36 in 42 days, but it's not a race, so I'm not bothered. So let's start with the books that I have read over the last fortnight. Let's start with this one, because it's big and cumbersome and I want it out of the way. The History of Pirates by Angus Konstam. This was great fun. There's different sections in here. It starts off with the popular view of pirates. And it's a bit like the book about highwaymen that I read earlier in the year, in that pirates weren't nice people, all this swashbuckling and walking the plank and being glamorous. It wasn't glamorous at all. They were pirates. They were criminals. Um, Literature is to blame once again for the populist view of pirates, and literature perpetuated that view over centuries. But this book, there's a lot in it. It's good fun. It's got loads of pictures and there's maps in there as well. It follows several themes. So it starts with piracy in the ancient world. We've got a geographical theme that runs through the book, so it will deal with piracy in a certain era in a certain place, like piracy in the Mediterranean and in the North Sea, and in the Middle East, and in around China and Japan. And it has double pages, or at least on all of those, obviously in the Caribbean, the golden age of piracy. It also has pirate people, and that could be a race of people or it could be individuals. So all the famous ones are dealt with in here. And then the other thing it has in here, which was interesting, which is something I'd never really thought about, is the different ships that were used in different places and at different times and how they progressed in design and weaponry and things like that. But it was a really fun read. I didn't read it for any other reason than it was a book that was big, that was on my non-fiction shelf that I hadn't read. My second non-fiction book, as well as reading, one of my great hobbies is photography, and there are certain photographers that I admire very much. One of these is Henri Cartier-Bresson, and this is a reasonably small biography written by Clement Cheroux, who has covered Cartier-Bresson's life. I mean, these are fabulous. I'm particularly interested in reportage photography or street photography, and Cartier-Bresson is one of my favourites. But it's a very interesting book, and it deals with not only his photography but also his love of and skill at drawing. And he was going to become an artist before he became a photographer. He also dabbled with cinema and helped make a number of films. He was a particular lover of geometry, and composition was vital to him, to the extent that he would put stamps on the back of his photographs if he was sending them off to newspapers or magazines or whatever, saying, "Do not crop this picture." The other thing he's very famous for is he was one of the founding members of Magnum, which obviously has a great legacy behind it. Now, the third non-fiction book that I read this week, this was my favourite book of the fortnight, Stasiland by Anna Funda. And Anna Funda is a Australian journalist who was living in Berlin and working in Berlin in 1990, just after the Berlin Wall came down. And she became fascinated with telling the stories of ordinary people who'd been living in East Berlin, and what their lives were like. Just, ordinary people. And this is the result. She's interviewed loads of people, from your average man in the street to your member of the Stasi. And it's gripping, really gripping, and actually quite horrific in places. It tells a really sad story of how much the Stasi came to rule over everybody's lives in East Germany, and it's just fascinating. I read this as part of Historathon Q4 and just thought it was brilliant. Let's go children's book. Remember December is all about rereading, and one of the books I had selected for rereading was this, The Wolves of Willoughby Chase by Joan Aiken. I read this as a child. I have maintained for years it was one of my favourite books as a child. I couldn't remember it, so I thought, let's read it again. It's great, really great. Joan Aiken's a great storyteller anyway, and this tells the story of, it's set I think in England. Yes, it is set in England, but it's set in a history that didn't happen. So it's set in the 1830s, and we have a King James III on the throne. Wolves are everywhere, and we have two main characters, Bonnie and her cousin Sylvia. Sylvia is an orphan. She's coming to live with Bonnie and her parents, but her parents are going off abroad because the mother's ill. And they rope in a distant cousin to act as a governess for the two girls, and the distant cousin turns out to be a bit of a nightmare. There are reports that the ship that is carrying Bonnie's parents, has gone down at sea. The girls are all alone. The governess turns the family home into a pretty rotten school, and the girls escape and go and find help. It's a boys' own adventure for girls. I loved it. Now, the final three books. Agatha Christie disappeared this month. This is the month, it's the beginning of the month, I think, when she disappears off the face of the earth, and no one ever knows what happens to where she's been and what she's been doing. So, bit of Agatha Christie. Also, These Clear Space on the Bookcase. So, I needed to read adult fiction so I can take them off the TBR shelves in here and put them on the I have read them shelves in the house. I've got a pocket full of brine and cards on the table. Now, years and years ago, I thought I'd read the majority of Agatha Christie books. Excuse me. I don't think I've ever read those, either of them. They certainly don't ring any bells. Both were brilliant. This one is Miss Marple, only she features only very slightly in this book. And this is about the head of a financial empire, a father. He has 3 children, 2 boys, one of which is estranged from the rest of the family. And he also has a daughter. He collapses and dies at work. And poison is involved. And the race is on to try and find who did it. In this one, a guy called this is a Hercule Poirot one. I don't know what happened there. The camera just shut off. So yes, we have a crime writer and a crime novelist. We have a guy from MI6. We have Hercule Poirot, and we have one of the inspectors from Scotland Yard. And then on the other side of the table, we have got a young woman. Um, Everything's going mad here today. I don't know what's happening. Anyway, we have a young woman, an older woman, and 2 men. One's a doctor, one's an adventurer. They have dinner. They go to play cards. They're playing bridge. There's 4 people in one room, there's 4 people in the other room, and they are split. Uh, Detectives, sleuths in one room, other guys in the other room. Mr. Shaitano is sat in front of the fire in a big comfy chair in between the 2 rooms. And during the course of the evening, someone kills him. And the race is on to find out who did it. And it's the Scotland Yard is pooling resources actually with the guy from MI6 and the crime novelist and Poirot to discover who has murdered Mr. Shaitana and why. It was really good. It was great fun. And then the final one, we have The Draining Lake. Arnuldar Indridason, Icelandic writer. This deals with a detective called Erlendur, who is based in Reykjavik, and he's obsessed with missing people. Um, there's an earthquake. A lake starts draining into fissures below it, caused by the earthquake. And as the water drains away, a body is found with a hole in its skull. Well, it's not, it's just a skeleton with a hole in its skull and its ankle attached to a Russian 1960s radio listening device. It's really good. It combines politics of the Cold War with a crime and several red herrings. And I like Elendor, the detective. He's a strange, flawed, miserable old sod. Um, but he is obsessed with missing people. And so he leads the investigation into trying to discover who the person in the lake is and how and why they were killed. And it's great, really good. One of my favourite Scandi-noir novelists. So that's it from me. over the next couple of weeks, before the end of the year, there's several videos that I want to do. One is an historiathon one, sort of rounding up my Q4 and looking forward to next year's historathon. There's going to be a historathon 2024. Yay! Um, I need to catch up on my round the world challenge, and also I plan to do a video of my plans for next year. I've got another special project coming up, and I'm looking forward to it. In the meantime, I will do a video next week, a reading wrap up, but it'll be on Saturday, or rather, it will go out on Saturday. Going down to to the family for Christmas down south in a hire car because mine can't be relied not to explode. Um, so that's it. How's your reading been? I'm hoping to start catching up this week. Thank you for popping by. It's lovely to see you, and please leave any comments below. Please like and subscribe. That would be wonderful. I'm so close to 200 subscriptions. Subscribers. Yeah, that's the word, subscribers. Thank you all so much. It means the world that this subscriber number is increasing. So thank you. If I don't speak, I will speak to you before, but if you don't watch anything else between now, have a lovely Christmas, and I will speak to you soon. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.